tensions flared in a Brazilian prison when a small white cat was unexpectedly detained following security protocols. The situation took an intriguing turn when it was discovered that the cat's presence was part of an undercover operation. The smartphone footage captures a tense moment as prison authorities uncover hidden secrets in the most unexpected place. They discover something surprising concealed under the fur of a seemingly harmless visitor, which catches them completely off guard. The cat was hiding illegal items like cell phones and drills on its body. This shows how clever smugglers can be, using innocent animals without their knowledge. It reveals the lengths people will go to sneak things past security using creative and surprising methods. At the Oklahoma County Detention Center on Saturday, March 27th. A couple of detainees were seen walking around the room, and one of the detainees held a guard hostage. According to officials, Oklahoma City police were called in after an Oklahoma County jail inmate took a detention officer's keys, tied him up, and took him hostage. The attacker let other inmates out of their cells, and then an inmate got a hold of the knife and stabbed the detention officer multiple times after placing it on the table for a while. Shortly after that, the inmate got the knife again and held it to the officer's throat as police arrived on the scene. As police officers moved towards the bottom of the staircase, 2 officers opened fire and fatally shot the prisoner. The detention officer was later rescued. On October 17, 2016, in a Racine County correctional facility, this terrifying video shows an inmate being escorted by 2 guards. At first, this was nothing serious, as the prisoner was even seen walking peacefully with a bright smile on his face. When he noticed the prison officers were off guard, he turned, suddenly hitting one of the wardens with a heavy fist and landing him on the floor. The other officer acted quickly as he jumped on him, pinning him down on the floor and battling with the prisoner to being able to escape. Other officers rushed out to help. In a murky prison yard in the heart of Brazil, suddenly guards noticed something strange near the toilet block. A prisoner, desperate and crafty, had hatched a wild plan. He dug a tunnel through the mud, aiming for freedom. But just as he squeezed through the tight, filthy passage, something went terribly wrong. His grand escape halted in the most unexpected way. He was stuck, helpless and wedged, right inside the prison's own plumbing. Suspense hangs in the air as the guards approach, discovering the inmate's audacious but failed attempt to flee through the toilet. On August 10, 2021, exactly at 10:56 p.m. Friday at the City Justice Center in downtown St. Louis, a few detainees decided to have a little fun sparring, but it settled, and about 11:30 p.m., a fight broke out as some inmates were attacking a person while the rest were just standing and watching. Corrections officers and other inmates were seen on the other side of where the fight was being held, and they were all watching the fight scene and went to call for help without entering the room. It seems to be a set match because fights just keep occurring over and over in the cell, leaving some convicts injured. While the correctional officers just stood back and watched the scene without interfering, one guard even yelled at them. But one of the detainees yelled back at her. A couple of minutes later, a prisoner was seen limping with his shirt covered in blood and was escorted out of the cell. But the fight didn't end there in the room. At about 2:15 a.m., the officers arrived with pepper spray and masks, which shows they were trying to get one prisoner out of the room, But it didn't go as planned, and it all escalated as the inmates rushed the door. The inmates were up in their unit wiping their eyes, and a little later the officers left, leaving the prisoners alone as they did whatever they liked in the cell. 5 hours after the fight, when the inmates were back in their cells, police officers and sheriffs arrived with gear, and one after another, they took out the prisoners with their hands cuffed. In this video, chaos erupts inside Belém II Correctional Facility in Mexico City. Helicopter footage from the military police's Aguia unit reveals a riot brewing below. The footage captures prisoners in a fierce brawl, turning the yard into a battleground. Guards struggle, their shouts drowned in the uproar. Amidst the chaos, a military police helicopter hovers, its blades slicing through the tension. Suddenly, the scene shifts to the ground. Heavily armed officers from the Special Intervention Group, GIR, rush in, their movements precise and determined.
Débora, você me responda as coisas de uma maneira normal, hein? Veja as imagens aí, as imagens do helicóptero Águia.
With swift action, they begin to regain control, dispersing the rioters. Order starts to return, and the once wild scene calms. At the Alga Middlesex Detention Center, video footage shows the warden opening the cell doors for the detainees to start their chores at 8:13 a.m. The prisoners were all heading out of their rooms, but one of them looked suspicious, as if he was trying to hide something. After the guard left, he went back inside his cell and pulled out a bag of laundry. The other inmates were just looking at the guy without interfering, and continued their cleaning as the killer went to the neighboring cell to call for help. The murderer finally was able to drag the dead body to the shower. Detainees tried to clean the front of the room with different rags and solvents to hide the smell and stains left over. The inmate killer later brought out a stained mattress from his cell room and dropped it in an opposite room. Shortly after that, he brought about 5 shoes from his room, dumped them in the trash, and dragged the trash can closer to his room to continue cleaning up. The other inmates just continued their work without getting in the way of the cleanup. A while later, an officer came in the room and the killer got a mop and started cleaning casually the areas in front of his cell room. A strange video from Wandsworth Prison in London appeared online in 2016, showing a drone delivering contraband. The video shows a black bag hanging from the drone as it flies into a cell window. Two makeshift hooks reached out from the cell and quickly grabbed the bag. This surprising event was recorded and shared online in 2016. It shows how creative imprisoned criminals can be in smuggling and mobile phones. The BBC investigated and found that over 2,000 banned items like and phones were smuggled into UK prisons in 2015. This problem has more than doubled since 2013, making it very hard to keep prisons secure. A South African prisoner attempted an escape from prison. He succeeded in going past the gate, but the problem is that he didn't go through the normal way. He squeezed past the small opening in the middle of the gate. But he didn't successfully escape, as the police recaptured him. He was asked to return to the cell the same way he exited, and the video captured him struggling to squeeze past the same gap through which he came out. Here, we have an incredibly important and eye-opening video to share with you. In the midst of a gritty and chaotic prison uprising, body cam footage reveals the intense scene inside Turi Penitentiary. Ecuadorian police stage a dramatic intervention as riot shields clash like thunder and desperate inmates struggle for freedom against the oppressive tide. Suspense fills the air thick with tear gas, a chaotic battle between control and chaos. The footage draws us into the gritty struggle, showing the intense reality of the turmoil. Amid this chaos, rival gangs clash, each moment building up to the inevitable confrontation. As tensions rise, the prison becomes a scene of rebellion. A shocking event happens, leading to a violent turning point in Ecuador's prisons. When the conflict ends, at least 79 inmates are dead, leaving a disturbing and uncertain aftermath. This video, captured by eyewitnesses, shows the epic chase of an escapee. The prisoner had escaped from prison, and still dressed in the signature orange prison uniform, he raced past several cats and shops. One cop was panting heavily while chasing after the escapee. It seemed the prisoner had made up his mind to escape because he showed no sign of stopping. He jumped over a low fence, and moments later, the officer got to the fence, panting. But the decisive prisoner had already escaped into oblivion.
Where's your backup? Where is the backup? He lost the inmate, y'all.
In South Carolina's prisons, there's a constant fight against smuggling. A recent search at Kershaw Correctional Facility found many illegal items.
And officers make the first discovery of the day. But it wasn't found by the team. Instead, an inmate gave it up.
So this is a homemade weapon that the inmates can make.
Homemade weapons, cigarettes, and hidden cell phones were found in prison cells, which could be really dangerous. Director Brian Sterling is highlighting how risky this is, mentioning past times when illegal items caused violence. It's surprising how many phones were found during the search that day.
Or somewhere in the institution. It's common known as a shank here in the prison.
An inmate threw that out of
a cell, yes.
when they saw us coming.
Even with difficulties, prison guards stay watchful, using advanced scanners and thorough searches to stop illegal things from coming in. They also work to prevent things from being thrown over fences. Stopping contraband is tough work, and it needs prison staff in South Carolina to stay dedicated as they focus on keeping illegal items out.
As we saw with Captain Johnson, he's from Sumter, South Carolina. A contraband cell phone was used to order a hit on Captain Robert Johnson back in the late 2000s.
As seen in this video, a white police vehicle approached a building and stopped in front of it. Police officers in blue began to come out, followed by a man in a black suit. The prisoner followed the black-suited man out, but just then, he bolted to the right, pushing the officer who was blocking his way and running to the side of the building. The law enforcement agents gave a short chase, but when they realized he was too fast, they pulled out their pistols and started firing. The prisoner ran in a zigzag motion to avoid the bullets and ran on. One of the police officers followed him in the hope of finding him. Good luck with that. This video shows a view of a prison compound with a white bus packed by the side. Suddenly, two shirtless detainees in black and white striped prison pants are seen jumping off the prison fence. They don't stop after jumping, but flee by going around the bus. On a seemingly quiet afternoon in Cristalina, suddenly shattered by a daring prison escape, a passerby couldn't believe their eyes and started filming.
Você vai ver fuga de... Olha só, gente, essa imagem aí, ó, impressionante. Isso é tudo preso fugindo da cadeia. Isso aconteceu lá na cidade de Cristalina. 18 detentos escaparam da unidade...
18 inmates were scaling a wall behind the prison, making a break for freedom. Chaos ensued as they spirited away. Some even had cars waiting.
Da cidade, ali no entorno do Distrito Federal, na tarde de ontem. Uma pessoa percebeu e começou a gravar o momento em que esses homens estavam pulando o muro de uma casa que fica bem atrás da penitenciária.
By nightfall, 6 were back in custody. Authorities released photos and names, urging everyone to be on the lookout.
Eles saíram correndo pelas ruas, alguns chegaram a entrar em um carro. 6 detentos já foram recapturados, graças a Deus. A Diretoria-Geral de Administração Penitenciária publicou os nomes e...
CCTV cameras captured an impossible escape attempt by prisoner Jeffrey Hope at the county court.
Surveillance video shows Jeffrey Hope running out of a holding cell at the county courthouse and then running off down a hallway.
In the video, Hope can be seen in his prison uniform bursting out of a corner at full speed and running down a hallway. The police officer sitting there immediately takes off after him, even pulling out their teasers just in case. Hope's desperate attempt was for naught, though, as he is seen being dragged back by officers and pushed back into a cell. In a daring escape attempt captured on camera, a jailbird in Indiana found himself in a tight spot. As officers escorted Blaze Ayers back to his cell, he took a sudden detour into a medical room and locked the door. What followed was straight out of an action movie. Ayers disappeared into the ceiling, leaving officers puzzled. Refusing to come down, he wriggled through the narrow space, causing chaos. Then, with a crash, he came crashing down, wires and all, surrounded by stunned officers. But even then, Ayers didn't give up easily. He continued to resist orders from the officers. Eventually, they had to resort to using a taser to subdue him. He was treated for minor injuries and charged with attempted escape, a level 5 felony, and criminal mischief, a Class A misdemeanor. A very smooth prison escape was captured on video, where this prisoner in white seemed to turn into Spider-Man. He first walked to and from to make sure he was alone at that moment, and then, like a scene out of a movie, started climbing the walls with hands and feet. He eventually got out of sight, making his smooth escape to freedom. In the video captured on a phone camera, one of the detainees can be seen attempting to escape from prison. As the camera continues to roll, the tension builds, and a getaway is in progress.
Vai dar tiroteio daqui a pouco, exatamente ao vivo. Ao vivo. Vai dar mesmo.
Suddenly, the imminent threat of gunfire becomes apparent. The unfolding action is intense and real. At one point, a figure hurriedly gets dressed while urgent whispers echo, urging someone named Bell to get out immediately. Although they managed to escape, uncertainty lingers about the situation because we do not know if they were caught afterwards.
Eu digo que bom, sai daí. Vocês têm que sair daí desse lado aí. Eu digo que bom.
A surveillance camera captured a group of inmates standing in the prison yard, some shirtless. But the striking thing about this video is that it showed one of the inmates with a tattoo on his right arm steadily climbing up the high prison fence. Other inmates watched him as he climbed to the top of the fence and jumped off to the other side. Looking around and finding no one, he fled into the shadows and his freedom. In heart-pounding footage captured on a phone, a detainee attempts a daring escape from Nelson Hungria Penitentiary. Clinging to a rope, he stealthily descends from the rooftop, his heart racing with hope. Unknown to him, diligent prison warders are lying in wait below, ready to catch him. As he removes his prison uniform, he falls into the trap set by the warders. Then he is promptly taken back to his cell. A court CCTV on February 13, 2023, captured a video of a group of prisoners in white and orange-striped prison uniforms sitting on the front row in court, while the court sitting progressed. However, as the court was going on with its business, one of the prisoners stood up and walked directly to the window. He jumped out of the window and fell straight to the floor, taking to his heels thereafter. Reports are that he was later caught and taken to the hospital for treatment. In an unexpected twist documented on video, a routine inspection at a police station in Bagalkot, India, became thrilling when an individual executed a bold escape. The video shows two people who had been detained, standing by for inspection at the station. They take advantage of a brief distraction among the officers and quickly try to escape. Their escape was quite unexpected, leaving one intrigued about the police's next move. The incident, which took place in Bagalkot, Karnataka, was undeniably amusing. On August 22, 2022, a surveillance camera captured an uprising in the Indian River Juvenile Correctional Center, showing a group of young detainees wreaking havoc in the place. Tables were broken and overturned. There were laptops and desktops smashed on the floor. The detainees brought tables and a shelf to the door, barricading themselves in. Then they started attempting to break a door, probably their escape route. But no matter how many people were at the door, it didn't budge. They went back to throwing things around and smashing what objects they could find. One of them climbed onto a table and sneered something at the camera, blocking the view from the inside. In the quiet halls of Ikoyi, prison in Lagos, Nigeria, a young woman secretly records her surroundings as she goes undercover to expose the widespread corruption in the country's criminal justice system. As she reaches the prison entrance to visit Ojo Olajumoke, she has a tense experience. A male guard at the front desk asks for a bribe to let her in. In a private office, they negotiate. He asks for 1,000 naira, but she manages to talk him down to 500 naira.
No, this one is fine. I thought Uber is.
Here, a rather hilarious escape of a prisoner was captured. The video shows police officers looking frantically for a prisoner around a vehicle. Unbeknownst to them, the prisoner they were looking for was lying flat on top of the vehicle. The officers looked around the vehicle, with one of them flashing a light and looking beneath the vehicle, yet there was no sign of the prisoner. He stayed motionless on the vehicle, and the ignorant officers eventually drove off. In Brazil, a daring escape happens at Lusiânia jail. Some prisoners are absconding after breaking through iron bars in a moment caught on camera. The jail becomes chaotic, showing a worrying increase in unrest. Tensions rise, raising questions about justice. This escape is just one part of a bigger problem with many rebellions and violent incidents in the area. It was reported that 11 prisoners escaped during the incident, prompting authorities to pledge improvements in security measures and relocate high-risk inmates to other facilities. In a video captured by surveillance, an inmate was seen pulling a waste bin to a corner where he's already kept one bin. But it turned out that it wasn't trash, I'm the bins, because a few moments later, two people came out of the bins. The two people were wearing the customary orange prison uniform, showing that they were also detainees. They stepped out of the trash bins and quietly made their escape without wasting time. In South African prisons, inmates secretly hide cell phones, breaking the rules. The video shows how they cleverly do this. It was surprising to see how they turn a regular lotion bottle into a hidden phone. They move it past security and take it out with a simple move, showing how smart they are at finding ways around the rules.
Right, start dismantling. You can see there,
In this video, a clever trick is shown. a fake Nivea body lotion bottle that secretly hides a smartphone inside. This clip shows the ongoing problem prison authorities face in stopping illegal activities.
Cell phone coming out. Okay, assemble it back. Close as it was.
Stopping cell phone smuggling requires a range of approaches. There is the need for better security, stricter rules, and efforts to break up smuggling networks. Inmates' clever tactics make this challenging, so we must keep finding new ways to improve prison security.
There's the trick from the offenders hiding cell phones. Thank you.
A police dashcam on April 5, 2006, captured an encounter between a police officer and a prison escapee. The officers stopped the escapee while they'd been after, but this particular ex-inmate kept his cool as he talked with the officer. He told him his name was Robert Jones and that he was only jogging. The police officer put a call through to the station to get the details of the escapee so they could match it with those of Jones.
You're how old? 50? I was born in 56. You said born in 56. No, short hair. My guy's got skin cut hair. He's got a beard, well, a goatee like.
Eventually, he was convinced that Robert Jones was indeed a jogger and let him go. In this intense moment on January 27th, chaos unfolds at Recife Jail in Brazil. It marks an unfortunate incident where prisoners attempted a daring escape. Evidently, it was a meticulously planned event involving an explosion aimed at breaching the fences for a swift getaway. Scaling the towering fence, driven by desperation, they suddenly face gunfire. Panic grips the scene as prisoners scatter, supposedly due to the police shooting. Some manage to flee, while others, fear evident on their faces, choose to surrender. A murder suspect, Dwayne Shane, was in court for his trial. He was allowed to roam freely in the court with a GPS tracker attached to his ankle. The court surveillance camera captured a video of him walking calmly down the hallway. On the other side of the hallway, his girlfriend was also calmly walking about. The video showed Shane and his dad casually walking past the cops, who paid no attention to them. After a while, Shane and his dad casually strutted out of the court like they were taking a stroll, followed by his girlfriend, and once outside, he took off his jacket. A van, driven by his mother, pulled up on the road and 3 of them got in. The vehicle sped off, with Shane throwing out his GPS tracker. He was later recaptured and sentenced. On Monday, October 19, 2020, chaos erupted in Benin City, Nigeria. Protesters stormed the Benin and Oko prisons, freeing nearly 2,000 inmates. It was a scene of pure mayhem. Armed guards clashed with the invaders, gunshots echoed, and the inmates flooded out.
Prisoners, they come and left for the red for White House. Prisoners, they come and left for the red.
In the aftermath, the Ministry of Interior confirmed the jailbreak, noting that dangerous criminals were now at large, posing a grave threat to public safety. Weapons were stolen, and many were injured.
They never see anything. Left for the red. Prisoners, they come out for White House. Prisoners, they come out.
While the authorities have regained control, the hunt for the escaped prisoners continues, leaving the concerned community on edge.
White House, left for the red. Prisoners, they fall out.
In the Lake County Courthouse in Illinois, Travis Copeland was facing charges. The court camera captured a video of him running down a corridor. He had escaped the courtroom and was now trying to flee from the premises. His options were not good, as he was seen running the opposite way, but 2 cops had spotted him. Running out of options, he tried his last chance, the widow. Copeland braced himself and lunged at the widow, not knowing it was bulletproof. The widow didn't budge. After failing to escape and being surrounded by cops, he gently laid on the ground and put his hands behind his back. The officers cuffed him and led him back to the courtroom. A dangerous Russian criminal escaped from detention in 2013. His escape was captured by CCTV cameras. The man was in a tall building, probably on the highest floor, but he'd made a rope. With his rope, he climbed out of the window and gently lowered himself to a certain height before jumping off into the compound. Then he walked into the offices, where a policeman saw him but didn't recognize him as a detainee. The prisoner casually walked through the door and to the front of the premises before leaving the place completely. In a surveillance video, a mass escape from a Brazilian prison is captured. On June 13, 2016, dozens of prisoners escaped from the Monte Cristo jail in Boa Vista. They used improvised ladders to scale the prison walls. While all this was going on, the air at Monte Cristo jail was thick with tension. Out of nowhere, chaos erupted. Inmates armed with knives and wooden clubs stormed from one wing to another. Shouts and screams filled the air as rival factions clashed. By the time the dust settled, 25 lay dead, 7 beheaded, 6 burned alive. Before these tragic incidents, during visiting hours, families were caught in the mayhem and held hostage by the rioting inmates. Special police forces stormed the prison, rescuing the hostages by evening. This brutal event shone a harsh light on Brazil's overcrowded and neglected prisons, raising urgent questions about safety and justice. A video captured in prison showed a confrontation between 2 inmates, a shirtless detainee and a new inmate. The video shows the shirtless guy yelling at the new inmate and advancing menacingly towards him while the guy tries to fight him off. But the shirtless detainee continued, eventually forcing the new guy into a corner, causing him to beg. Smoke billowed from the Penitentiary Progression Center in Bauru as chaos erupted. A confiscated mobile phone sparked a revolt, inmates igniting a cell block before slipping into the night. Firefighters battled flames while guards counted heads, realizing 152 prisoners had vanished. Brazilian police scoured the town, capturing 90 escapees, but 62 remained at large. This unrest follows a year of gruesome prison riots, with over 130 inmates brutally killed, many beheaded. The hunt was on, and tension gripped the town as the clock ticked, everyone wondering, where are the fugitives hiding now? After the Alcacuz prison massacre in Brazil, chaos broke out. Inmates climbed onto the roof, trying to escape the gunfire. Gunshots rang out, highlighting the ongoing problems in Brazil's prison system. The video shows prisoners crawling to safety, trying to escape the chaos. This troubling event reveals the serious issues of overcrowding and gang violence in Brazilian prisons. When reports mentioned rubber bullets, it was clear that the police were trying to control a riot among inmates. The authorities had a tough job dealing with the aftermath of a weekend massacre, showing how badly the prison system needs fixing. brutal video from the Arizona Department of Corrections prison is being shown. This incident happened at 9:55 in the morning on November 3, 2020. An officer was checking the cell, and two convicts walked up to him. One held the guard from behind as the other rained on him with his fist. Another prisoner was seen just walking away as if nothing was going on. Some seconds later, the officer was able to free himself, reached out for his pepper spray, and began shooting. The criminals scattered to the first floor as they watched the officer walk away from above. After a few minutes of spraying, the inmates attacked the guard again, more furious this time as they threw more fists and kicks at the warden. When the officer managed to free himself and go for an escape, the prisoners caught onto him and slammed him on the floor. One prisoner seemed to even hurt his foot while kicking the guard. After a short while, the convict decided to stop for a bit and free the officer. As he managed to reach the stairs, they went after him again, kicking very aggressively. One prisoner was even spraying him with the pepper spray he held before, and they finally set him free as he walked up the stairs. In a chilling scene captured by surveillance cameras in an Idaho prison, one inmate viciously assaults another, while guards stand by unmoving. Hani Elabed, the victim, desperately pounds on a guard station window for help, but to no avail. The video, obtained by AP, raises disturbing questions about the prison's tolerance for violence. With at least 3 guards witnessing the attack, it's unclear why no action was taken until after Elabed was left unconscious. Days later, he emerged from a coma with lasting brain damage, highlighting the dire consequences of unchecked brutality behind bars. On a Saturday night, at the Espanola police station, Carl Romero was on duty and watching the surveillance cameras when the cameras captured something eerie. Romero said he saw an image in the camera, which he thought was a moth, until he saw the legs.
Then I saw the legs and it was a human.
And it turned out to be human, but not a real human. There was no going out or coming into the place without opening the iron gates and sounding the alarm. Yet the creature caught by the camera went through without causing any problems. Romero believes it was a ghost. This next footage shows detainees as they harass the Cook County Sheriff. As seen in the footage, a group of detainees rushed up to the 2 guards in the cell room just when they were about to open the door to get out of the room. They rush in on them while they try to defend themselves, but they are outnumbered as the prisoners are too fit to handle on their own. A little while later, after the guards were able to get themselves free, they went to call for backup, but it seems one officer was injured as he was holding up his face and crying in pain. Finally, the guards came out for help and rushed into the cell room where it all happened. The prisoners were already lying down on the floor when they got there, and the officers jumped on them to prevent any more attacks. CCTV cameras from different angles were focused on a black SUV that was used to transport a suspect to jail. The SUV came to a halt as the driver was paying for something. That moment turned out to be the opportunity that the suspect was looking for, as in a fluid move, he opened the car door and fled into the distance. Realizing what had happened, the driver moved the car, got out, and followed after the suspect. A prisoner found himself in serious trouble after attempting an escape reminiscent of the Shawshank Redemption.
Sai daí! Se vira, se tu entrou, como é que não vai sair? Bora, rapaz, sai daí! Estou tentando. Você tá tentando essa aí?
He tried to slither headfirst through the communal toilet, his body completely covered in excrement.
Pera aí! Sai daí! Ei, Peladão, puxa ele aqui. Puxa ele aí.
As he wriggled through the clogged sewage pipes, 2 men grabbed his legs and pulled him back out. Another shot shows him back in his cell, covered from head to toe in feces. CCTV footage captured a rather shocking scene at a police station. Prisoners had been brought out of their cells for a quick trial, with cops guarding the place. But not all the prisoners were calm. Right under the noses of the cops, one prisoner decided to run for his freedom. He made a break for it. When he got to the door, the officers pounced on him but couldn't stop him. He fled the place, with cops chasing behind him. Seeing the success of his co-prisoner, another detainee bolted towards the door. The single cop there could not stop him at all as he made it through. This was the beginning of an epic chase, as one of the cops got on his bike to follow them. While all that happened, the other prisoners sat quietly. As the surveillance camera pans across the scene, we're faced with a chilling sight, a prison that appears heavily fortified. Some inmates sneak through the maze-like hallways looking desperate. In the middle of all this, two people approached the fence with their fate uncertain. Suddenly, they jumped 3 fences and escaped. Their bold move inspired other inmates to muster the courage to flee, and they too succeeded. It took a while for the correctional center to realize what had happened.
Os caras aqui não continha de 12 não parava ninguém, caiu lá, ó. Esse que caiu aqui, ó,
A court camera captured a video of a prisoner hijacking a police van to escape after being sentenced. The detainee drives the van, ramming it into the gate and taking the gate down. The man who tried to stop him was sent to the ground along with the gate, and all attempts to stop him failed miserably. In the end, he escaped, speeding into the distance with the hijacked van. This is a recently released footage of convicted killer Danilo Cavalcante making a jaw-dropping escape from Chester County Prison. Watch as Cavalcante, using sheer strength, scales a prison wall with cunning precision. As he reaches the roof, he encounters layers of razor wire managed to get past it. His escape triggered a frantic 7-day manhunt by the police, who offered a hefty $20,000 reward. A surveillance expert uncovered startling parallels to a previous escape from the same facility, exposing a significant security flaw. Simultaneously, 2 Pennsylvania school districts closed their doors, heightening the mystery and urgency surrounding the manhunt. Subsequently, it was reported that he was rearrested. Danilo Cavalcante now faces 20 charges for his crimes. In a shocking video released, an inmate went live on Facebook right from prison. The detainee, Joey Rivera, posted the video on his YouTube page, where he was seen brandishing a shiny knife with another inmate.
You see this? This is how we do it in here.
Then he proceeded to give his followers a live tour of the prison, leaving many confused as to how he got a cell phone and a knife in a prison cell. In the heart of a Venezuelan prison, it's a whole different world. Barreness Prison, packed and kind of a free-for-all, is all about the inmates running the show. Can you believe they've got their own little government going on?
American prisons, especially those in Venezuela, are famous for their overcrowding and for the way they're run. Guards watch the gate.
This is Wilmer Lopez, a man convicted of murder, but there's more to him than meets the eye. He calls himself a positive leader, even in the darkest of circumstances. While his past includes violence, Lopez has managed to channel his energies into something transformative. Inside the prison walls, he's initiated remarkable changes. From facility upgrades to additional living spaces, he's also introduced recreational activities like a cockfighting ring and even set up a makeshift gym.
And under his direction, people have engaged in infrastructure improvements, working on sewers, adding housing on top of the existing housing.
Inmates try to recreate the outside world with religious spots and a bit of normalcy. But deep down, one truth remains. They're all still chasing that freedom, and life inside is just a distant echo of what's beyond those prison walls.
The prisoners have created a world which mimics the world outside. Yet no matter how much they improve it, we came away with a feeling it's still better to be out.
Court surveillance captured a wild video of a murder suspect in a blue shirt who was led into an office by two cops. One of the officers removed the cuffs from the suspect's hands, and he slowly walked towards a desk as if to sit on it. But then he bolted, jumping over a chair and going through the door, with the two cops chasing hotly after him. The video switched to the hallway, and the man was seen sprinting down towards another door, with the officers not too far behind him. He ran through different hallways and eventually bolted through a door only used by staff, taking the cops with him in an epic chase. In one of Brazil's chaotic prisons, inside Pernambuco's biggest jail, formerly known as Anibal Bruno, a surprising truth was uncovered.
Agentes penitenciários acompanharam o fechamento do túnel. Mas veja estas imagens.
In the deep part of the prison where it's really dark, there was a secret tunnel that hinted at exciting adventures. Crafty prisoners had made it to show off their smarts. But there was more than just secrets hiding there. Cameras caught something frightening. People with weapons walking around like it was no big deal. The shiny machetes they carried made us wonder what they were up to.
Andam livremente pelo pátio de uma das unidades e muitos deles estão armados com facões.
One prisoner seemed cool, playing pool with hidden blades. Another was good with scissors, cutting hair while everyone felt tense. Guards were nowhere to be seen, just silently watching. It made you think, who's really in charge here? And as weapons showed up again, doubts about control grew like an untreated wound.
De repente, começa uma briga. Dois presos lutam com facões, enquanto outros, também armados, assistem e provocam.
This video, captured in India, shows the high walls of the Karnataka prison. A detainee is seen trying to scale the fence. He jumps off, and despite landing on his feet, he still falls heavily to the ground. Then he gets up, limping. It could be that the jump had affected him more than it seems. The prisoner limped away from the wall and went to the road in search of public transport to take him to his hideout. In a surprising turn of events, there's complete chaos in a prison in Brazil. The inmates are in control, making a lot of noise to get attention. A group of them has taken charge because they really want to escape from being locked up.
Penitenciária Estadual de Londrina, no Paraná, das pessoas que trabalham na penitenciária. Os detentos quebraram.
The camera caught a gripping moment where the inmates carefully plotted to hold 10 people hostage as part of their escape plan. Armed with knives and clubs, they made their way to the prison roof, setting the scene for a tense showdown.
Massa na imagem mais aproximada. Perigo aí, claro.
As the day goes on, the prisoners grip tighter, scaring the hostages by physically restraining them. The tension increases as the prisoners remain firm, proving they're serious about their threat to toss the captives off the prison roof. In this video captured on a highway, a man frantically ran across the road, almost disregarding the vehicles. It was clear that he was fleeing from something. Several police officers were seen standing by the road with some German Shepherd dogs. One of the cops went to the back of a vehicle and in it was an empty seat. The prisoner they were escorting had bolted. It turned out the man from earlier was a prisoner who had escaped. This video shows how bad things are for this prison facility. The Wanaheda holding cells look really neglected and sad because the government isn't taking care of them properly.
I was told that I should go to isolation, and this is the isolation.
Watch this raw footage where a gutsy prisoner talks about the tough conditions they face while waiting for trial. The cells look eerie and show how bad things are, revealing a sad picture of neglect.
They at that bed there. This was the alternative place.
Watching the inmates struggle with basic tools to fix a broken toilet system is really sad. It shows us how tough their daily life is. Wanaheda doesn't look good in this picture. It makes us see how hard it is for people living in the shadows of a system that doesn't care about them.
Come back to the Zing again. Inside here, this is where the dirtiness, all of this, please, Ombudsman, help us. Thank you. Bananda Police Station. Please come and rescue us.
In this body cam footage taken at approximately 11:30 p.m., NYPD officers responded to multiple 911 calls regarding a man who was reportedly threatening a family member with a knife. 3 officers entered one of the elevators and were preparing to ride it to the man's floor, while 2 others were trying to prop open the lobby door with flyers in anticipation of backup. All of a sudden, the suspect emerged from the second elevator not occupied by officers and moved quickly towards an officer, swinging the knife directly at this officer. That officer retreated outside of the lobby, and then the suspect charged towards the elevator occupied by 3 officers. 1 officer fired at the man with a taser, and 2 officers pulled out their service weapons and shot the man multiple times at close range. The video shows the man on his back just outside the elevator as his right arm went limp. After the shooting, the officers tried to save the man's life. The video shows a chaotic incident inside the Sandoval County Detention Center when a riot breaks out. Guards use loud flashbangs to confuse the inmates and get things back under control. In the video, you can see the inmates running away as guards with shields, gas masks, and special riot gear come to stop the chaos.
This is the blast that ended the riot. Let's slow that down and take another look.
When the usual methods didn't work to calm down 9 inmates, the Special Tactical Support Unit was brought in. Even though the inmates try to stop them by putting up makeshift barriers, the officers eventually break through the door after trying a few times.
These officers with shields, gas masks, and weapons designed to stop a riot are members of the Tactical Support Unit.
The intense situation is over now. The prisoners are under control and taken away, but there's a mess left behind. The floors are wet and things are broken.
It took 2 rounds of those loud bangs and explosions for the corrections team to get inside.
On June 14th, a maximum security prison in Miami showed a video of a power breakdown in the prison as the inmates walked out of their cells and chased after a shirtless prisoner. The inmate being chased jumped off from the first floor to the ground floor and broke his leg. Another prisoner rushed to his rescue as he stood around him like a shield. This video, caught on a surveillance camera at the maximum security Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville, shows detainees handcuffed to a table in a recreational area, and another inmate in the area behind them manages to slip out of his handcuffs and pull out a homemade knife and starts chasing the other prisoners who are cuffed to the table as they run circles around the table. And finally, he was able to stab the inmates as there were no other ways the detainees could defend themselves. The prison guards watched from behind, and they did nothing about it. In a stunning twist, officers wearing gloves carefully revealed tin cans as if they were unveiling cutting-edge gadgets. Shockingly, they had just apprehended someone for possessing contraband. It's truly disheartening that the culprit turned out to be a rogue member of law enforcement. A prison guard at Zonderwater Prison in Cullinan, South Africa, broke her oath by smuggling a substantial amount of heroin into the facility. The startling footage clearly shows the officer peeling back seemingly ordinary cans to reveal the hidden. A surprising discovery revealed a stash of contraband at the home of a prison warder, including cell phones, SIM cards, and illegal tablets. She was arrested on December 27, 2021, and faced possession charges, spending a bleak Christmas behind bars. In the midst of snowy weather, a drone captures a stark image. Prisoners stand atop an Australian prison, their situation dire. It's July 12th, and the scene reveals a frightening reality. Flames rage within the Parkley Correctional Center. We couldn't help but feel worried about what really happened that caused the fire. More than a dozen inmates decided they wouldn't stay put, and instead, they made a bold move, climbing up to the roof. Aerial footage revealed their daring escape as they used ropes to get past the barbed wires. As the police intervene, the atmosphere becomes tense. The defiant prisoners are escorted away, creating a silent spectacle that grips viewers. It unveils a gripping narrative of rebellion and desperation amidst the chaos of the prison, involving around 14 inmates caught up in this chilling aerial drama. In the video, an inmate from the New Albany County Jail in Mississippi was being escorted to the courtroom by officers. The prisoner's hand was cuffed and tied around his wrists. The prisoner yelled at the guards in front of him and angrily headbutted one of them. The officers responded quickly as they fired back, immediately carrying him out of the room. Amidst the chaos of Cook County Jail, recently uncovered footage unveils a startling brawl that erupted out of nowhere at 4:35 p.m. on April 3rd. In just 21 seconds, punches are thrown and bodies collide, as two men crash to the ground. The atmosphere became thick with tension, and before we knew it, things escalated into a frightening brawl filled with stomping and kicking. One person ended up badly hurt. Once the chaos settled, the sheriff's office shared the names of 8 individuals they believed were involved, although we weren't completely certain. Thankfully, despite the violence, everyone is going to recover. Here's another truly heartbreaking and alarming incident from inside a jail. In Brazil, a prison riot unfolded, showing chaotic scenes as cartel members among the inmates sparked a violent upheaval. The video paints a grim picture of the prison in Taubaté, São Paulo, as flames engulf the facility, with doors shattered and objects set ablaze. The police are in a tough spot, trying to regain control amidst a challenging situation. The intense scenes show just how tense things are inside the facility, keeping everyone on edge as the full scope of the riot unfolds. In the midst of chaos, prisoners have taken hostages. Among them are volunteer visitors and 2 guards. The situation intensifies as the inmates' unpredictable actions reveal the weaknesses in the prison's security measures. In a shocking turn of events, 1,300 inmates from a Brazilian prison staged a daring escape, taking guards as hostages. The details of the incident and how it unfolded remain somewhat mysterious. The centers of penitentiary progression in Mongaguá, Tremembe, and Porto Feliz found themselves in trouble with the government recently. There was a bit of rebellion and questioning over the suspension of temporary departures. It really makes you wonder if there was some sort of master plan at play behind the scenes. The video depicts a scene of utter chaos as prisoners scramble to escape. It all started due to COVID-19 restrictions, which triggered the unrest. Authorities are expressing concerns about health risks within the semi-open environment. Now, we're left pondering the number of escapees, and the entire prison uprising has us captivated. On June 14th, in a Miami maximum security prison, a video was captured by surveillance showing a sudden power breakdown which caused the doors of the cells to open at the same time. The inmates walked out of their cells and, for some reason, chased after a shirtless prisoner. The detainee on the run jumped off from the first floor to the ground floor, breaking his ankle in the process. Another prisoner rushed to his rescue as he stood around him like a shield. Security cameras captured footage of a mysterious individual in a dark hoodie leaving the Isik Ada police station at night. On October 10th, at 7:09 p.m., 27-year-old Akhmatov Tilik, who was being held for questioning, managed to escape through the back door. He swiftly and discreetly bypassed a metal barrier to make his getaway. It appears he's trying to convince himself that his actions are justified, which raises our suspicions that he might be involved in something seriously wrong and dangerous. Amid initial concerns of theft, his abrupt vanishing sets off the siren protocol. Wearing a white sweatshirt, a black jacket, and dark jeans, he departs, leaving a perplexing puzzle for authorities to unravel. It's a tale shrouded in the enigma of his sudden departure from the Isikata pretrial detention center. In Beijing, China, 3 inmates pulled off the unthinkable. They killed a guard, donned police uniforms, and escaped from a high-security detention center near Harbin.
这名男子逐渐走进看守民警左后方，用胳膊勒住看守民警的脖子，同时另2名男子冲进屋内。
During the incident, authorities were on high alert, setting up checkpoints and offering a $48,000 reward for any information leading to the capture of those responsible. One of the men, Gao Yulun, who is 50 years old, had been sentenced to death. The other 2, Wang Damen, 35, and Li Haiwei, 29, were charged with assault leading to death and murder, respectively. However, it wasn't clear whether they had gone on trial yet. As they left the jail, the 3 wore police jackets and shirts.
另外2名身穿蓝色长袖内衬和蓝色短袖内衬的男子先后走出玻璃门，并且有1人随手把门关上。